Hey, what's going on, everybody? Commander Crane here. A little bit of a different video today. So, for those who watched a somewhat recent video here on the channel, I was talking about how I plan on trying to qualify for the regional championships at the end of the year for Washington, D.C. And for those who are really astute and watched my April channel update video, I mentioned that I was going to be going to a team event in Grand Rapids as kind of like a warm up for the RCQ season, just because, it'd been a hot minute since I'd really played in them and just kind of wanted to get my feet wet, kind of, get back into the swing of things. And so went to a team event this last weekend. So it was team event. So we had a standard person, a pioneer person, and a modern person. Obviously, I was the pioneer person because it's my favorite format. And so we didn't, our record wasn't good enough to reach the top four. We had a lot of rough matchups kind of at the end there, like the two guys I was teaming with, huge shout out to Glad Superfly and Gramps. They were playing aggro, or Gramps was playing aggro and was playing against uh basically just control decks that had 4 temporary lockdowns and everything like that. And then Glad Superfly was playing the Blue Zoo version of the Sign of Draco Leyline deck, and he played against Omnath Piles and all these really weird decks that didn't really line up very well. But anyways, so and we ended up doing all right, finished about 500. And so I probably won't talk about most of how the event went, but just know it went pretty solid. We had some good wins, against Reckless Vampires. We also had some really bad draws against Is It Phoenix, and we couldn't piece it all together. Then we also had a really bad match against Mono Black Waste Knock, because that's my worst matchup, I would say. Which that was also, funny enough, part of what's technically in this live stream, because we ended up having a feature match in round 2 and round 3. I'm not going to be talking about round 3 at all, mostly because it was really uneventful. Basically, it was kill your creature, make you discard, and then I just went land, go, land, go, land, go, and then died. So it's really not exciting gameplay for the most part. But the round that I do want to talk about, and it's only going to be, unfortunately, the one game of the match, just because with how the team events go, our first game finished, so they went to a different game. They came back at the end of game 2, which was pretty uneventful, just because I was playing against Blue Eye Control and they had the upper hand. And unfortunately, game 3 wasn't on camera, so it'll really just be the first game, and then I'll kind of talk about how the rest of the match went overall. And the main reason I'm also doing this is because, and I know this is going on for a couple minutes now without showing anything, but we play the dinosaur deck on camera here every so often, with the modern or the pioneer FNMs and such. And it's not too much different than me playing it, just here, but at least hearing from competitive players perspectives, who both of them are much better players than I am, but at least seeing how different it is in a competitive setting. And other than, me playing the deck here, I've never actually had a feature match with the dinosaurs before, which is pretty cool. So, the last thing before we're going to hop into it here, there's going to be a little bit of pausing once I actually get into the video, but so the main commentator is Steven Dykman. He is the Energy Player champion. He won pretty much everything, went to the Pro Tour. He's a fantastic player. And yes, while he is, you're gonna hear it here, he's hating on the dinosaur deck a little bit. He really is. But don't fault him for it. Steven is a fantastic player, and he looks at it in perspective of the metagame, and it just doesn't think the deck is that strong. And you want to know what? He's kind of right to a certain extent. The reason I play the deck is because I really enjoy it, not because it's super duper powerful or secretly the best deck in the metagame or anything like that. So if it sounds like he is really hating on me or the deck, I promise you it's not like that. Steven is fantastic. So I just wanted to go ahead and mention that. And the last thing I promise before we hop into here, if you want to watch this entire stream, it's in the link in the description below. So if you want to watch, everything without me talking over it, you want to watch the next round where my team is featured. We also had a couple of the guys that play here at Commander Crane Studios. They were also in round 4. So if you want to watch them play, so Hunter, BG Stilts, and Ryan, you can watch them play as well, and Cody as well. So, all right, we're hopping into it here. I promise. We're pressing play right now, but I'm going to be pausing in between to explain different lines and things like that. So, all right, we're pressing play. When I actually press play with my mouse and not the space bar.
All right,
there we go.
So,
turn up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about. I
also do apologize if it's a little quiet. It's not my fault. It's the stream. So okay.
About the deck that we're going to have on camera here, which is the dinosaur deck. So it's 8 elves, 4 Llanowar, 4 Elvish Mystic, 4 Marauding.
I guess the last thing I forgot to talk about, and I apologize for not thinking about this beforehand. So Steven and Merrick were talking about a little bit of the deck beforehand and kind of going over, like, because I had talked to them in between about like the better cards in the deck as a whole. And Steven had talked about, he doesn't believe in the deck at all, pretty much, which is fine. He's like more of like a you got to prove it kind of thing. So that was kind of the one thing I want to mention. The other thing I mentioned is I'm wearing a dress shirt in this, mostly because they were trying to get Steven to dress up for doing coverage, and I told Steven that if he had dressed up, that I would dress up. So I had the nice tie going, I had the dress pants and the dress shirt and everything. So if you see me like wearing like a dress shirt, that explains. That's why I don't normally wear that to comp events or anything like that. But all right, last thing. All right, here we go.
Raptor, that's the 2/3 that when it makes dinosaurs, I believe, 2 less to cast, and then whenever a creature enters, it deals 2 damage to it, I believe. 4 commune with dinosaurs, 4 reckless rage, 4 pugnacious hammer skull.
Yeah, we lost the die roll there, unfortunately. It made me mad because the dice hit their hand, so it could have been something else. So I was kind of mad I lost the die roll there, especially against blue-white. Like, winning the die roll against blue-white is really nice.
4 Red for Alpha, 1 Galta, and then lands. So that's kind of what's going on there.
So against dinosaurs, it looks like we have blue-white control. Very classic list.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I feel like I mentioned that beforehand. It's not vampires like it says on the bottom. It is blue-white control. They just hadn't updated that yet properly.
The only card that I don't normally see is a Cosmic Rebirth.
Okay.
And then we're playing cats.
Cosmic Rebirth. They'll show it, I think, on screen eventually.
Nice. Okay, yeah.
They'll show it on screen eventually, but it wasn't relevant. They didn't. I don't even think they boarded it in the matchup that we played. It's just like a really weird card from March of the Machine Aftermath. I don't know. Really nothing exciting for the most part, though.
I assume this is a terrible matchup for Eli. But I'm going to be honest. I would assume most matchups are a terrible matchup for Eli. So
the hater hat.
So that's kind of what I'm talking about there. So like, probably most matchups are terrible, which he's not right. Simply put, I would say the blue-white control matchup, it's pretty close. Obviously having Cavernous Souls is really, really big. Us having large, hasty creatures, so after they play the board wipe, we're able to rebuild. I would say it's a pretty even matchup. Usually what ends up happening is one deck makes the other one look really silly. And then the other one just does nothing for the most part. So, I would say the matchup is close. It really depends on the build of blue-white though, because all blue-white control players, like, they build it differently and they tune it differently. I would say this version I was a little bit better against because I like Merrick's going to mention in the video is they were basically on 2 temporary lockdown, 2 supreme verdict, I think 1 sunfall and 1 settle. So the fact that they only had like 3 more traditional like board wipes, so I guess 4 with settle, because normally they would play like 4 supreme verdict and a couple of sunfalls and a farewell or something like that. So the fact that they were playing less sweepers is better for us. So that's what I wanted to mention, just because they're all different for the most part.
That is on.
It's on. It's on. I do not believe. I don't believe. No, I especially don't believe after I was told how good Green Ramp was last week, and I played 3 days worth of Green Ramp on stream and never got better than a 2-3 in any
never
league,
watched you win a game with Mono Green this week on stream. So
nope. I 2-3'd most leagues.
Also,
there was one league where I both
the Pioneer deck or our deck here.
Let me
know in the comment section below. Bonus points if you know what that sleeve art is for.
More after that,
just let me know. It's a little.
Yeah, I don't know, man. These I really do not believe in decks. I think they're just pretty underpowered. But maybe Eli can prove me wrong again. He's already proven me wrong once by beating vampires. Kind of insane to me, but
that's one thing I guess I didn't mention. So round 1, I played against Rakdos Vampires, which is one of the better decks in the metagame. Squashed them. So game 1, and I'm gonna keep this really brief. Game 1 on turns 3 and 4, they played Sorin into Vein Ripper. So I was able to kill the first Vein Ripper in the Sorin with like Reckless Rage. And then they played it again, and I was able to bust through that one and won game 1. Then game 2, I had a really great hand. They had the turn 3 Vein Ripper again, but I went Marauding Raptor into Hammer Skull, pick your poison, make you sacrifice your your Vein Ripper. And then they really had nothing else going on the rest of the game. They played like another random, I think it was like another Preacher or something like that. But I was able to just keep slamming dinosaurs in one. So I beat the best deck in the format 2-0 in the first round. So just wanted to mention that. But anyways, all right, let's continue.
So he gets another shot.
I did not see a Farewell on the list. Is this a new development?
Yeah, most lists don't really play Farewell anymore. The Yorion might play one, the Yorion list, but yeah, I guess Kahira doesn't play it. I assume a million Templock rounds.
We are looking at 2 Templock, 2 Supreme Verdict, 1 Sunfall,
okay,
and a Settle the Wreckage for a blowout potential.
Oh, the Settle. That's so gross. I actually like.
Which, with the Settle, I was a little concerned about this. So, okay, so I was on the play. Well, I was on the draw here. They had the tap lane. Doesn't matter. The hand was really good. I don't remember it 100%, but it was something along the lines of like 2 lands, Marauding Raptor, Llanowar Elf, Commune with Dinosaurs, and I believe a Rampaging Raptor, I think was the hand, which is pretty solid. So, yeah, like obviously you want to try to hit a 3rd land with the Commune with Dinosaurs, go turn 1 Elf, turn 2. We already have the Marauding Raptor, which is nice. Normally we got to dig for it and then play it, but we was able to work around it the other way. So, but the hand was definitely very, very good, this one.
Like Settle. I think more people should play a one of
Can't
Settle.
tell what dual land
I like it even
like
more, honestly, in an open deck list environment, but
Seachrome Coast, so very clearly holding up a No More Lies. Obviously, I don't have a Cavern in my hand at this point, which is a little awkward for the Marauding Raptor, but
yeah,
as you'll see,
that's the problem. It's impossible. You can't play around Settle anymore because you get punished by both Deluge and Emperor. So it's just like too bad. All right, so this is a cast of Commune.
So obviously tapping the Elf for the Commune, don't want to take damage from the Carplution Forest, and we're trying to dig for a Cavern of Souls. That's like 100% what we wanted to hit with the Commune of Dinosaurs. And
Jesse says that's cool.
Double Cavern, actually.
Now Commune can find Cavern, which is pretty gas.
There it is, right on time.
Pretty nice. I will say that's something that Dinosaur.
So I guess my thing, what I'm wondering is, so they had like this book full of like all these, I don't know what was written in the book that's right there, but like there was like a couple times where I made a play and they like wrote something. I don't even know. I don't know what the book was about. I don't know if they were writing specific cards that were in the matchup or what, but I don't know. That was what was in there. So anyways, maybe they thought they knew what I was playing, but maybe they didn't. I don't know. That was the one thing which I forgot to mention this, and I'll talk about it. Actually, no. I'll save everything about that specific opponent. I'll save that to the end of the video. Let's continue.
Has definitely got that it did not have in the past was the Cavern of Souls reprint, which was pretty recent.
Looks like we do have 3 fields for 3 caverns.
Okay.
Bam.
And there's
Counter
the
that.
Raptor.
The Raptor. This is the best start the deck can give you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Eli was saying. He was telling me that he believes Marauding Raptor is just the best card in the deck.
I'm thinking also, like you could probably tell, is they're rocking. I think it's because they were a little nervous. They're like, oh, a Cavern of Souls. Because as soon as I played the Cavern, it was the little rock, which I'm not blaming anybody for if they're nervous or thinking that they're doing that, but I'm thinking it's probably what that's from.
And it does. It's going to allow some craziness here. I mean, we could just register Alpha right now and crash for, I believe it would be 9. Yeah, Alpha doesn't have haste. Does Alpha have haste? I forget. I know it.
Last thing. Steven, no, I'm not blaming him for this. Most people don't really know what most of the dinosaurs do. So there's going to be a lot of lines that he says that I should take when it doesn't really work that way with all the cards, and we'll get more into that, but they don't really know what a lot of the cards do, so I'm not faulting them for that. They're very weird and unique cards for the most part, so if something sounds a little weird, probably is.
What gives other dinos get haste?
It's trample haste 4/4.
Yeah, that might be right.
And
it makes a 3/3 when it enters as well. Okay, that's the 4/4 that has fire.
Rampaging Raptor.
Yeah, the fire breather. Yep.
9. Right, getting in for 9.
Eli's getting in there. Jesse, you're really going to need a verdict here.
Yep. So having to figure out what Marauding Raptor does. But yeah, this was definitely a great turn. I mean, tagging for 9 on turn 3 is about not like the best, but like that's about as good as it gets for the most part. So no, that was a huge, that was like a perfect play right there. 1-2, boom. Like that was fantastic.
7, and then, okay.
Absolutely nothing from the blue-white.
I assume
play
it's
of
just a
this.
verdict. It's got to
Yep.
be a verdict.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
there it
All right,
is. Yeah,
so-
okay. And
I'm untapping here, so I figured the verdict was coming of some sorts. I didn't know how many verdicts and everything they were playing at this specific time. But the one thing I want to mention is the reason I played the hand the way I did is because the idea is against blue-eye control, after they wrath is when you then play the hasters and you start chipping in the damage. So I had another Rampaging Raptor in my hand with a land already, so I knew that the next turn we untap, we're able to attack in with another Rampaging Raptor. So that's why I did it the way I did. I still would have done it even if I didn't have another Rampaging Raptor, just because, I mean, like, attacking for 9 on turn 3, yeah, I'm not going to turn that down. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
fly.
Clean it
Now
up,
gonna
and we're
have to
starting over.
now gonna have to rebuild. 3 for 1. They'd get 7 damage out of it at least, but right. He has another
Run
one.
it back.
All right, for you. Okay.
Get him.
It looks like Jesse also.
Also, I want to mention too, Rampaging Raptor is I don't want to say my new favorite card in the deck, but man, fantastic new addition. If you play any version of like this kind of dinosaurs, I highly suggest playing Rampaging Raptor. The card is sweet.
The shock. So Jesse down to 7. I mean, this is not nothing.
Which the life totals, they were not the most accurate, I would say, in a lot of it, but this at this point is 20 to 7 is the actual like life totals, just because I know when you're switching back and forth between different matches it can get a little weird. So but anyways,
A follow-up Regisaur Alpha here could be really nasty. Jesse really would like, I think, a Wandering Emperor right now. It'd be quite
all right,
okay.
so
Jesse can do that.
Blue-eye
on
control player.
Blue-eye's turn.
4 mana, they pass. My initial thought was, okay, they probably have a Wandering Emperor, which you'll kind of see how it went here, but I didn't have any good lines of play in my hand for the most part, so it'll kind of make sense what happens next here.
All right, here comes
there's a
Regisaur
5
Alpha.
mana.
Here it comes, I believe.
I wish.
You
I
need it.
wish
You
I
need
had an
it.
alpha.
You need it.
To be clear, if I did
Maybe
have an
doesn't
alpha,
have it.
Doesn't have it.
No,
I
that's
would
an
slam
Emperor
it.
coming. Maybe not. Jesse does
Notice
have.
something. I saw a temp lockdown in hand.
Jesse has Temp Lockdown Absorb. Absorb doesn't do a whole lot. It does gain 3 life. It can just be 3 mana gain 3, which it may have to be in this game.
If they see that interaction, it's possible that they don't even know.
Yeah. Jesse's pretty sharp. I think Jesse would see it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay. Thinking here. Do I go to 3? I think Jesse has an option. Does he have a deluge there? Maybe a deluge in it too. That'd be a good one here. Oh, the Fire Beat. Oh, the Otawara. The Otawara.
So, Otawara, not what I was expecting, but in terms of what could have happened, I was kind of all right with it, because we can recast the Raptor, get more damage in. So, the pumping, obviously, just because the only other card, because I think I had 2 more cards in my hand, or 1 more card. It was like I think I had the Besage You this turn, and I had a Marauding Raptor as well. So, I had nothing else really going on, so I figured I'd pump. If it dies, if he dies, he dies. And then just play the Marauding Raptor post-combat. So, the other thing I want to mention is, again, I'm not blaming Steven for this. So, he thought the card red, just you tap 1 red and give it +2/+0 until end of turn. Whereas it's 3 mana to give it +2/+, or 1 mana to give it +1/+0, but it's 3 mana to give it +2/+0. So I had to tap 3. I think he just thought it was straight fire breathing, which it's not. I wish it was just straight fire breathing, but it was a little bit different. So that's why the line of play, he's going to say it was incorrect, but in terms of what was in my hand and where the game was at, it was, I would say, definitely the correct play.
Okay.
After Eli paid,
You got the other Marauding Raptor.
Too.
Yeah, I don't love paying that much if I'm Eli. I don't think. I would have probably only paid maybe 1.
Exactly. Just like what I was talking about.
I don't love paying all that much there because it's just Jesse could have so many things. Mainly the Wandering Emperor. Like we get so blown out by Emperor there, but fortunately,
Which is why I was glad they didn't have it.
okay. This is really
I knew it was something that could happen, but I just said, okay, have it. Like that's it. I got to get the damage in. I'm not gonna play conservative against control. Like we got to get in there. If you play around all the cards and they don't have it, then they're just getting value no matter what. So you have to, like in this matchup, you gotta have it. Like force them to actually have whatever, like the Wandering Emperor or whatever.
awkward. Jesse's hand is Temp Lockdown, 2 counterspells, and Verdict. And the Verdict really, really just not good enough right now.
Not against punch
Yep.
energy.
Oh, we have
Temp
to do
lock
this.
down. 100% the right play to get rid
Okay,
of Raptor.
well, if Eli's going to get the 5 ball here, but then Jesse has the Verdict, and Jesse's going to have to avoid a Haster after that.
Advantage to your opponent not knowing your deck and you playing a cool deck is Jesse has no idea what I could play. Holding up the No More Lies, which I was getting the read on for sure. Which there's technically a little bit of a misplay I make on this turn. But yeah, it was basically like, hey, you gotta have something.
Which Eli has a lot of Hasters, so Eli definitely has a shot. Is that a manland as well? There might be a manland in play. Does this play 2 layer? Okay. So none of the red green manlands, so no. I'm just reading. What would we not?
So we get in there, we go to 3.
Commune,
Well, we
maybe?
get him to 3.
I don't like this. We're playing into the normal
So
lies.
I play the commune
Yeah, we should've-
post combat here.
Yeah.
And I definitely, it was not the right play. So this was my thought process was I should have casted before combat. And the reason I cast it post combat was because I realized, like, oh, I should have cast the commune before I played the Rampaging Raptor. 100% should have done that way. Which Steven will, of course, mention that I cast that at the wrong time. The reason I cast it that turn was I had the Beseiju in hand, but I wanted to hold it up just in case of like a ley line, not like a ley line binding, but really just any, it really could be anything for the most part. Maybe if they have, because they did have a Restless Anchorage in play there, so maybe if they try to activate it to stay alive, we could Beseiju it. But the idea was, at this point, we want hasters. So the reason I communed there was so that way if we hit the Register Alpha, we have the land all, like we already have, because if I was one short, I would have had to play the Beseiju, then cast the Register Alpha, and I wanted to keep that in my hand. So that's why I ended up casting the commune that turn, but I definitely should have done it post-combat. I know Steven mentions in a minute here, like, oh, you should have not cast it this turn. Knowing, like, the deck and what's actually in it, it was correct to cast it that turn, but I should have done it before I cast the Rampaging Raptor. And the other thing was, too, there is potentially a world where, Jesse has a Get Lost as opposed to, because, like, they had the No More Lies. I kind of was getting the read on that. But if they have the Get Lost anyways, then I can just commune and whatever. So, not trying to justify that I shouldn't have played it before the Rampaging Raptor, because I definitely should have, but which Steven will talk about in a minute.
Yeah, we definitely should have played that first if we were Eli there. I don't love that sequencing really at all.
Right.
In fact,
So Jesse's
I
at
just don't
3.
even like casting it on that turn at all.
And then
I
has
think
the
I just would have
Verdict.
gone
If
4-4 and
anything,
then
you just
Fire
leave
Breathe.
up
Okay.
Illusion 4.
So, Jesse has the Verdict at 3 life. Only card in hand is Beseiju at this point. So, I need a Haster, which all I had left, because I already played 2 Rampaging Raptors. So I had 2 Rampaging Raptors left, and I had all 4 Register Alphas. Those are the only cards that could have gotten me, that could get the win this next turn. Like, those were the best draws, and theoretically a commune to dig into one of those. So
Yeah, I would have fire. I mean, that was a good spot to Fire Breathe for sure. And Jesse should be at 3.
which again, I couldn't have Fire Breathed because it's 3 mana.
I believe. Yeah, 3. Okay. Well, Eli needs a Haster. Seiju.
There it is.
No
Drew
way.
it
No
right off the top.
way, dude.
Let's go.
What animal behavior, dude? I guess.
Dinosaurs hasn't lost a game today.
I guess this is just what I need to do when I play Dinosaurs is just draw Haster against the
Oh,
control deck.
you think that you would draw
No.
Collective Souls against the control deck? Because I don't
Exactly.
think you could.
No, probably not. Probably not.
You
All
would
right,
probably get stuck on 3 lands.
Well,
and
Eli's just trying to prove me wrong, and he's doing a pretty good job of it there after game 1, up a game.
So what else do we have on this team composition for Eli?
Yeah, so Eli's teammates.
All right. So that's the entire game 1. I'm not really going to show game 2 because there really wasn't much to it. It only showed like one turn where I was like I was resolving a Register Alpha, and then both of the creatures ended up dying. There was really nothing eventful for the most part. So, and I'm not going to show round 3 just because really wasn't anything really noteworthy of talking about as well for that either. So, at least in terms of like intricacies in play. But once again, the link for this on Twitch will be in the description if you'd like to check it out for yourself. So, very, very cool to get that first game win. I knew right when the right when it had started, I knew that they were going to start on the Pioneer table just because I was playing a really spicy deck. And it was really cool to get the win. It's always cool. I love beating control decks because the whole idea behind control decks is countering your spells, killing your creatures, and everything like that. So when you're doing like, when you're like, okay, you're trying to kill all my creatures, but you can't. And even if you are, I'm just going to keep playing more and outgrind you, essentially. Not outgrind you, but, you know, get the threats to the point where they can't actually do anything about it. So the Rampaging Raptor top deck was insane. There's a reason why I went to 4 copies of that as opposed to 3 I was playing before. Because the card is so good. It's so good. Rampaging Raptor is incredible. I'm not going to say it's the best card in the deck because it's still Marauding Raptor. But wow. Rampaging Raptor is really, really good. So, a couple things I want to talk about still with that match. So, yes, the Gruul Dinosaurs, I should have cast that before combat. That was pretty clear. I definitely should have. And the other thing I want to mention is with the opponent, I guess, with this. So, which I guess, you know, if you're watching this watching this at some point, don't take any offense to this, and I'll explain it here in a second. So, for those who don't go to competitive Magic events a lot, it's a little bit of a different beast than going to FNM, which you'll occasionally run into people that act a certain way when they go to FNM. But at comp events, it's more so this a lot of the time. And it was the fact that my opponent, Jesse, flat out did not respect the dinosaur deck. Flat out. From my understanding, from what Jesse had said, Jesse knew that I was playing dinosaurs. So, you know, they were like, it was like, oh, I think this is the most interesting matchup. Interesting as in, like, I think I'm going to wreck your you know what. So I think that was kind of what, like, in terms of like how it was said and everything, was that's how it was said, which I don't take any offense to it. You know, when it comes to like deck choices and stuff like that, like, yeah, there's plenty of people that I like, but it's like, I hate the deck you're playing. Like, yeah, like case in point, my teammate, good friend Ray, you don't know what, Ray? I hate Living End. Living End is probably the most annoying deck that of like all the decks I've ever played against. And Ray played a lot of Living End. There's nothing wrong with that. I hate the deck, but it's nothing personal. It's just, you're great. I hate your deck. I don't like playing against it. And that's kind of how it is with, on their side of it. It's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you, but like, your deck sucks. And, which again, I'm not trying to convince anybody that the deck is good. I just really like playing dinosaurs, and that's why I decided to play it at this team event. So, I guess that was kind of the main point I was making, is, you know, like, you know, hey, you can disrespect the deck, but don't disrespect the opponent, you know? Like, yeah, sure, I had a good draw there, but I had plenty of draws that could get me out of it, and I could have had plenty of draws that would have made my deck even more faster and more explosive and everything like that. So, I guess real quick, I want to talk about the end of the match for that. So, at the end of the match, so game 2, I essentially lost that because I didn't have a Cavern of Souls. My hand was so explosive. At one point, like, they were tapping out for like verdicts, and I had triple Register Alpha in my hand, and none of them resolved because I didn't have a Cavern of Souls, and they were at a pretty decent low life total. So, yeah, lost game 2 because I didn't have a Cavern. The hand was really good. And then game 3, it was actually really interesting. So my game 3 hand was, oh gosh, it was Copperline, and Copperline Gorge, Cavern of Souls. And then I had Llanowulf, Marauding Raptor. And this was a hand of 7. So I talked to my teammate, Gramps. I said, hey, I think I'm going to keep this. I'm on the play. This hand is super fast. Any dinosaur off the top, and we are cooking. I'm going to have all the lands I need to cast all my dinosaurs. I have the Cavern of Souls, so they can't be countered. You know, we get in a bunch of damage before a board wipe, and then we just, like, hope we draw decent. Essentially, that would be the game plan. So we kept it. So we go turn 1 elf, you know, turn 2 elf, Marauding Raptor. So I have 2 lands. So the tricky part, though, is my first draw was the 4th Copperline. Terrible land to draw. It wasn't even a lair. It was the 4th Copperline. So I'm like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. So next draw, I'm like, this has to be a good draw or we're probably going to lose the game. It's Ripjaw Raptor. So I'm like, okay, this isn't bad. We have the Marauding Raptor. We can play the Ripjaw. We can draw a card, hopefully. So I play the Cavern of Souls, which I play that land last to conceal the fact, they had 2 mana open, so I'm like, they probably have a No More Lies. So I play the Ripjaw Raptor. So in response, they march the, before I even cast it, they march the Marauding Raptor. Smart move, because then I can't deal the 2 damage to the Ripjaw and draw a card. So that was a really good play by them. Most people don't really understand that line, so huge shout out to Jesse for actually understanding that line. So I'm like, okay, well, attack for 2, go ahead. So Jesse draws and says, go. Doesn't play a land. I'm like, ooh, okay. Now it's like, we need to go. I draw, it's another land. I'm like, tap copper land. I'm like, attack for 6. Like, fast as I could, just 6. They take 6. Draw. Go. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, we might steal this. Draw. It's another land. I'm like, who cares? 6. They take 6. I'm like, okay, go ahead. Draw. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. I'm like, okay. And they're like, go. I'm like, okay, this might be it. Draw. Don't even remember what it was. I think it was something bad. It might have been a commune. I don't even remember. So I'm like, well, obviously it wasn't a commune if I did that beforehand. So 6. Yep, that's game. And so we ended up stealing it. So the main thing, I guess, is like, oh, well, you won the match because they got stuck on 2 lands. Well, maybe yes, and maybe no. Which, to be fair, we won game 1 just because we played dinosaurs. We did our thing. Game 2 we lost, mostly because we just didn't have Cavern of Souls. But, still, the hand was fantastic. Just in general. Not even, anything, broken. It was just a really smooth hand, with a nice curve. And then game 3, obviously, was a little risky. We drew the Ripjaw, thankfully, and we were able to get the game over. So, but I guess, now we're kind of in, the latter part of the video here. But I just kind of wanted to show, it was cool that we had a feature match. We finally got to feature Gruul Dinosaurs at a competitive level, which was really, really cool. So, but anyways, that's going to be the end of the video here. Huge shout out to Swish Gaming as well. I can't believe I forgot to mention this already. For doing a really, really fantastic team event. Swish Gaming is fantastic. Definitely a huge fan of them. Obviously, with the video that's linked in the description, you can check out their Twitch page, which that's where they do most of their action. I know Steven streams most days for the most part, which actually he said he was going to be streaming some Gruul Dinosaurs coming up pretty soon. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Obviously, make sure to go ahead and I don't know what the technical term is, follow them. I know it's not subscribe, but I don't know what the technical term is for Twitch. But anyways, yeah, definitely, like their page so that way you get updated on all their cool streams. So, all right, that takes us to the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching this video. I guess I forgot to mention I'll also include the deck list that I played here at this event in the description if you'd like to check it out. And if you're a new viewer for this, we play dinosaurs a lot on the channel. We've done deck techs a lot. Check out the deck techs on the channel here. So, I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.